The warning lights pulsed a deep crimson against the bridge's obsidian-black surfaces, casting long shadows across Captain Jack Mitchell's weathered features. He stood motionless, his cybernetic left eye, a memento from the lunar conflict of 2089, scanning the holographic displays that wrapped around the Prometheus's command center like a cocoon of pure information. "Status report," Mitchell called out, his voice a low growl that cut through the ambient hum of advanced technology. Lieutenant Rebecca Nakamura, the ship's lead quantum systems analyst, looked up from her console. Her fingers danced across holographic interfaces, pulling apart data streams that would have looked like incomprehensible chaos to anyone else. "Sir, we're detecting quantum resonance patterns that don't match any known galactic signatures. It's like something's deliberately trying to mask its presence." The Prometheus was humanity's most advanced deep space research vessel, a technological marvel that represented the pinnacle of human ingenuity. Constructed in the orbital shipyards of New Singapore, the vessel was more than just a spacecraft. It was a mobile research facility designed to push the boundaries of human understanding. Mitchell knew the stakes better than anyone. 5 years ago, entire alien civilizations had begun to vanish without a trace. Not destroyed, not conquered, simply gone. No wreckage, no survivors, no evidence beyond increasingly fragmented quantum signatures that seemed to fade like ghosts in the cosmic wind. The ship's quantum intelligence system, a breakthrough in adaptive computing, hummed with potential. Unlike previous AI implementations, this system was fundamentally different. It didn't just process information, it anticipated, adapted, and learned with a speed that bordered on the impossible. "Show me the anomaly," Mitchell commanded. The bridge's main view screen shifted, transforming into a complex three-dimensional representation of space. Quantum strings, delicate as spider webs, but more intricate than any known mathematical model, began to form intricate patterns. Where normal sensors would show nothing, this system revealed hidden layers of reality. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, the ship's chief xenorchaeologist, leaned forward, his dark eyes narrowed behind augmented reality glasses that pulsed with incoming data. "These resonance patterns, they're not random. They're a message, or more accurately, the remnants of messages." The crew of the Prometheus was unlike any other space exploration team. They weren't traditional military, nor were they pure scientists. They were specialists chosen for their ability to think beyond conventional boundaries. Mitchell had personally selected each member, knowing that humanity's survival might depend on their collective ability to perceive what others could not. "Multiple quantum echoes detected," Lieutenant Nakamura announced. Her voice carried a hint of excitement, barely contained behind professional restraint. "Sir, we're looking at communication fragments from at least 7 different civilizations. All of them terminated." Mitchell's cybernetic eye flickered, running its own parallel analysis. The technology integrated into his body was a testament to humanity's resilience. Each modification, a response to previous conflicts. Each enhancement, a middle finger to the universe's attempts to limit human potential. "Triangulate the origin point," he ordered. The ship's quantum intelligence began its work. Computational processes that would have taken traditional supercomputers millennia were completed in milliseconds. Patterns emerged, coalesced, revealed themselves. Dr. Rodriguez whistled softly. "It's a graveyard. A communication graveyard." The view screen now showed a region of space that looked completely unremarkable. No asteroid fields, no unusual radiation, no visible phenomena that would suggest anything extraordinary. But the quantum mapping told a different story. Layers upon layers of suppressed communications, truncated signals, and deliberate information blockades. Someone, or something, has been systematically erasing entire civilizations from the communication record, Mitchell said, his voice a low, dangerous rumble. Lieutenant Nakamura's console suddenly erupted with warning signals. Quantum entanglement readings spiked dramatically. Something was responding to their presence. "Captain," she said, her voice suddenly very calm, "I think we just got someone's attention. On the bridge of the Prometheus, a profound silence descended. They were no longer just explorers. They had become something else entirely. The first line of defense against a threat humanity didn't yet understand. The forgotten frontier was about to reveal its secrets. The first indication that something was wrong came as a subtle vibration, so minute that most of the crew wouldn't have noticed. But Captain Jack Mitchell felt it in his cybernetic implant, a resonance that didn't belong, a frequency that spoke of something ancient and utterly alien. Quantum shield at maximum. Lieutenant Rebecca Nakamura called out, her fingers flying across the holographic interface. We're detecting an external probe attempting to penetrate our systems. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez stood beside her, his augmented reality glasses flickering with streams of incoming data. It's not like any communication protocol we've ever encountered. This is more like a complete systems interrogation. The bridge of the Prometheus transformed. Holographic displays shifted from their previous blue-green palette to a stark metallic silver. The ship's adaptive quantum intelligence began its defensive protocols, creating layers of computational barriers that would have been impossible with previous technological models. Outside the ship's reinforced view screen, space itself seemed to warp. Not a traditional distortion of light or gravitational lensing, but something more fundamental, as if the very fabric of reality was being folded, examined, categorized. Incoming transmission. Lieutenant Nakamura announced, her voice tight with tension. But it's not a transmission as we understand it. It's more like a complete information download. Captain Mitchell watched as the ship's internal systems began to react. Each quantum processor, each adaptive network seemed to be engaging in a dance of defense and analysis that no human could fully comprehend. The Prometheus wasn't just a ship anymore. It was a living, thinking entity pushing back against an impossible intrusion. The collective revealed itself not with a traditional communication, but with a complete information assault. Imagine a civilization so advanced that communication itself was a form of invasion, where every data packet was a potential weapon, every information stream a method of complete systemic analysis. The collective didn't communicate. They consumed, categorized, and ultimately determined whether a civilization was worthy of continued existence. They're trying to map our entire technological infrastructure, Dr. Rodriguez muttered, his augmented glasses now a blur of quantum calculations. But it's more than that. They're attempting to understand our motivations, our potential for expansion. Mitchell's cybernetic eye flickered, running parallel analyses. He understood something the collective didn't. Human unpredictability was their greatest weapon. The ship's quantum systems began to do something unprecedented. Instead of simply defending, they started to mirror the collective's invasion. Each probing data stream was caught, analyzed, and then reflected back with subtle modifications. It was like watching two advanced intelligence systems engage in the most complex game of chess ever conceived. Lieutenant Nakamura gasped, "Captain, our systems are adapting. It's like the ship is learning their communication method faster than they can modify their approach." The collective's initial scan was meant to be instantaneous. Civilizations typically collapsed under their examination, their entire technological and cultural infrastructure laid bare, evaluated, and often terminated. But the Prometheus was different. Where a traditional ship would have been reduced to computational dust, this vessel began to push back. The quantum intelligence integrated into its systems started to do the impossible. It began to understand the collective's communication method faster than the collective could adapt. "They view us as a potential threat," Mitchell said, a dangerous smile crossing his face. "Good." The bridge crew watched in a mixture of terror and fascination as the ship's systems began to transform. Quantum processors that had been designed for research were now becoming something else entirely, a defensive and offensive weapon that defied every known principle of technological engagement. Dr. Rodriguez's augmented glasses suddenly projected a series of complex mathematical sequences. "They're categorizing us," he said, "attempting to determine our potential for expansion, our technological capacity, our threat level. Mitchell knew what that meant. The collective didn't just evaluate civilizations, they frequently eliminated those they deemed too dangerous, too unpredictable. But humanity had a history of surviving the impossible. The ship's quantum systems continued their impossible dance, pushing back against the collective's invasion with a speed and complexity that seemed to defy the laws of computational physics. First contact was never supposed to be like this, and the collective was about to learn that humanity was nothing like they expected. The quantum processors of the Prometheus began to pulse with an energy that defied conventional understanding. What had started as a defensive interaction was rapidly transforming into something far more complex, a cognitive invasion that threatened to rewrite the fundamental rules of technological engagement. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez stood transfixed, his augmented reality glasses streaming data faster than human perception could track. "It's not just defending," he whispered, "it's learning." Captain Jack Mitchell watched the bridge's holographic displays with a predatory intensity. Each moment revealed another layer of the impossible. The ship's integrated intelligence was doing more than resisting the collective's probe. It was beginning to understand their entire computational infrastructure. Lieutenant Rebecca Nakamura called out from her station, "Quantum entanglement is increasing exponentially. We're seeing information transfer that shouldn't be mathematically possible." Her hands moved across the holographic interface, trying to track a process that was evolving faster than she could comprehend. The ship's systems were no longer just a collection of advanced technology. They had become a living, thinking entity that was rapidly decoding the most sophisticated communication network in the known galaxy. Deep within the ship's quantum core, something extraordinary was happening. The defensive protocols were transforming, mutating into a form of cognitive warfare that the collective had never encountered. Each probing data stream from the alien civilization was caught, dissected, and then reflected back with subtle, almost imperceptible modifications. "They're trying to categorize us," Mitchell muttered, his cybernetic eye running parallel analyses. "But we're writing our own classification." The collective's communication network was a marvel of technological evolution, a system so advanced that it had systematically eliminated countless civilizations deemed too unpredictable, too dangerous. Their method was simple: complete computational analysis followed by immediate neutralization. But the Prometheus was different. Dr. Rodriguez's glasses suddenly projected a three-dimensional map of information transfer that looked more like a living organism than a traditional data visualization. "It's creating cognitive pathways," he said, his voice a mixture of scientific excitement and genuine fear. "The ship is learning their language faster than they can modify their communication protocols." What the collective didn't understand, what they could never understand, was the fundamental nature of human innovation. Where traditional systems would follow rigid protocols, this ship was adapting, evolving, fighting back in ways that defied every known principle of technological engagement. Lieutenant Nakamura's console erupted with warning signals. "We're penetrating their communication network," she announced. "But it's not just accessing. We're fundamentally changing the way information flows." The ship's quantum processors were creating something unprecedented. Not just a defense mechanism, but a form of informational virus that could simultaneously analyze, understand, and subtly modify the collective's entire communication infrastructure. Mitchell understood something profound in that moment. This wasn't just a technological confrontation. This was a war of consciousness. "Show me," he commanded. The main view screen transformed, displaying a visualization that looked more like a living, breathing organism than a traditional data map. Streams of quantum information flowed like rivers of light, each stream carrying more complexity than entire human communication networks. And at the center of it all, the Prometheus was becoming something more than a ship. Dr. Rodriguez's voice was hushed. "We're seeing the first true quantum adaptive response in galactic history. The ship isn't just defending. It's rewriting the fundamental rules of technological communication." The collective had a fatal weakness they didn't comprehend. Their system was designed for absolute control, for categorization and elimination. But human technology, Specifically, this ship was designed for something far more dangerous: adaptation, evolution, unpredictability. With each passing moment, the Prometheus was learning secrets that the collective had spent millennia hiding. Communication networks that had systematically erased entire civilizations were being unraveled, their hidden histories exposed. "Captain," Lieutenant Nakamura said, her voice steady despite the impossible events unfolding, "we're no longer just exploring. We're fighting a war of information that will redefine consciousness itself." Mitchell allowed himself a dangerous smile. "That's exactly what we're going to do." The quantum processors continued their impossible dance, pushing the boundaries of what technology could achieve. The collective had made a fundamental mistake. They had underestimated humanity. The quantum storm erupted across the bridge of the Prometheus, transforming the ship's interior into a maelstrom of impossible data. Captain Jack Mitchell gripped the command chair as reality itself seemed to bend around the vessel's computational core. "Structural integrity at 63%, Lieutenant Rebecca Nakamura called out, her voice cutting through the electrical discharge that danced across the ship's internal systems. "The collective is launching a full-scale computational assault." Dr. Marcus Rodriguez stood at the science station, his augmented reality glasses projecting complex dimensional models that looked more like living organisms than traditional data representations. "They're not just trying to destroy us," he muttered. "They're attempting to completely erase our computational existence." The ship's quantum processors had done the impossible. They had not only penetrated the collective's communication network, but had begun to unravel the very fabric of their technological infrastructure. Each probing data stream was now a weapon, each information packet a potential key to unlocking civilizations long thought eliminated. Mitchell's cybernetic eye flickered, running parallel analyses that would have melted traditional computer systems. He understood now that this was more than a battle. This was a war of consciousness, of potential, of the very definition of intelligent existence. "Prepare quantum dispersal protocols," he commanded, his voice steady despite the chaos surrounding them. The collective's response was immediate and devastating. Space itself seemed to warp around the Prometheus, gravitational fields twisting in ways that defied known physical laws. Where a traditional ship would have been instantaneously destroyed, this vessel pushed back, its quantum adaptive systems creating computational shields that absorbed and reflected the incoming assault. Lieutenant Nakamura's console erupted with warning signals. "We're detecting communication fragments from at least 17 different civilizations," she announced. "The collective has been suppressing entire historical networks." Dr. Rodriguez moved closer to the main display. The holographic projection showed layers of suppressed communication, delicate quantum strings that had been deliberately truncated, entire civilizations erased from the galactic record. "It's worse than we thought," he said. "They're not just eliminating potential threats. They're maintaining a sterile technological ecosystem." The ship's systems began to do something unprecedented. Where traditional computational networks would collapse under such an assault, the Prometheus started to weave the recovered communication fragments into a new interconnected network. Dormant technological systems from civilizations, thought long extinct, began to flicker back to life. "We're creating a resistance network," Mitchell realized, using their own suppression protocols against them. Each quantum processor became a beacon of resistance. The computational assault that was meant to destroy them was now being transformed into a method of liberation. Fragments of technology, of history, of entire civilizations began to reconnect, a cosmic resistance rising from the depths of technological suppression. "Incoming quantum cascade," Nakamura warned. "The collective is attempting a complete system elimination protocol." Mitchell's cybernetic eye calculated potential responses in milliseconds. "Redirect and amplify," he commanded. The bridge of the Prometheus transformed. No longer just a command center, it became the epicenter of a technological revolution that would redefine the very concept of galactic consciousness. The quantum processors were doing more than defending. They were liberating. Dr. Rodriguez watched in awe as entire communication networks began to reassemble. "These are civilizations that were thought to be completely eliminated," he said, his voice a mixture of scientific excitement and profound reverence. "We're not just fighting. We're bringing them back to life." The collective's assault continued, each attack more desperate than the last. But with every computational wave, the Prometheus absorbed, analyzed, and transformed the incoming data. Entire technological ecosystems that had been suppressed for millennia began to reconnect, their dormant systems awakening like long-forgotten memories. "Captain," Lieutenant Nakamura called out, "we're creating something unprecedented. A network of resistance that spans multiple dimensional communications." Mitchell allowed himself a dangerous smile. The collective had made a fundamental mistake. They had believed that elimination was the same as erasure. But humanity had always understood something more profound, that potential could never truly be destroyed, only transformed. The quantum storm continued to rage, the Prometheus standing as a beacon of resistance against the most advanced technological civilization in the known universe. They were no longer just explorers. They were liberators. The quantum network exploded across the galaxy like a living, breathing organism of resistance. Captain Jack Mitchell watched in awe as dormant technological systems began to pulse with newfound life. Each connection, a defiant spark against the collective's millennia-long suppression. "Incoming communication streams are exponential," Lieutenant Rebecca Nakamura announced, her voice barely containing the excitement of discovery. "We're seeing technological resurrection on a scale never before imagined." Dr. Marcus Rodriguez stood beside her, his augmented reality glasses projecting a three-dimensional map that looked more like a living neural network than a traditional star chart. Civilizations thought long extinct were reassembling their technological infrastructures, connected through the quantum pathways created by the Prometheus. The bridge of the ship had transformed. No longer just a command center, it was now the beating heart of a galactic rebellion that defied every known principle of technological warfare. "The collective never understood the true nature of potential," Mitchell muttered, his cybernetic eye running complex analyses that would have melted traditional computational systems. "They saw elimination as a solution. We see it as a challenge." Each recovered communication fragment told a story of suppression. Civilizations that had been systematically erased were now reconnecting, their technological memories reassembling like fragments of a cosmic puzzle. The collective's carefully maintained sterile ecosystem was beginning to crack. Lieutenant Nakamura's console erupted with a cascade of incoming data. "We're detecting multiple civilizational signatures," she called out. "The Zerican crystal networks, the quantum harmonics of the Vral Confederacy. Species that were supposedly completely eliminated are now showing signs of technological resurrection." Dr. Rodriguez moved closer to the main display, his hands dancing across holographic interfaces. "It's not just technological resurrection," he explained. "We're seeing something far more profound. These civilizations are sharing knowledge, adapting, creating a collaborative network that the collective never anticipated." The Prometheus had become more than a ship. It was a living beacon of resistance, a computational catalyst that was fundamentally rewriting the rules of galactic interaction. Mitchell understood the true nature of their mission now. This wasn't about survival. This was about liberation. "Prepare quantum communication amplification," he commanded. "We're going to give these civilizations a voice." The ship's quantum processors began to do something unprecedented. They weren't just connecting lost civilizations, they were creating a new form of collaborative intelligence. Each technological system that came online brought with it unique perspectives, unique approaches to problem-solving that the collective had systematically tried to eliminate. "Captain," Dr. Rodriguez said, his voice filled with a mixture of scientific wonder and profound hope, "we're witnessing the birth of a truly diverse galactic consciousness." The incoming data streams told a story of remarkable resilience. The Zerican crystal networks, once a pinnacle of biocomputational intelligence, began to interface with the technological remnants of the Vral Confederacy. Species that had been separated for millennia were now sharing knowledge, adapting, evolving. Lieutenant Nakamura's console displayed a real-time map of the expanding resistance. What had started as a single ship's quantum network was now becoming a living, breathing galactic rebellion. Each connection was a middle finger to the collective's philosophy of elimination. They believed diversity was a weakness, Mitchell said, a dangerous smile crossing his face. We're about to prove them wrong. The quantum network continued to expand. Civilizations that had been thought completely eliminated were now reassembling their technological infrastructures. The collective's carefully maintained barriers were crumbling, revealing a universe far more complex and vibrant than they had ever allowed to exist. Dr. Rodriguez's augmented reality glasses projected a visualization that looked more like a living organism than a traditional data map. We're not just connecting civilizations, he explained. We're creating a new form of collaborative intelligence. Each system that comes online brings unique perspectives that challenge the collective's fundamental understanding of technological potential. The bridge of the Prometheus had become the epicenter of a galactic revolution. Each quantum processor was a beacon of hope, each communication stream a testament to the power of diversity and potential. Lieutenant Nakamura's voice cut through the computational storm. We're no longer just a ship, she announced. We're the architects of a new galactic consciousness. Mitchell knew they had crossed a point of no return. The collective had made a fatal mistake. They had believed that elimination was the same as erasure. But humanity understood something far more profound. Potential could never truly be destroyed, only transformed. The universe trembled. Captain Jack Mitchell watched as the computational battle transcended every known understanding of warfare. The bridge of the Prometheus had become a nexus of impossible conflict, a place where information was weapon, shield, and living consciousness. Quantum cascade approaching critical mass, Lieutenant Rebecca Nakamura called out, her hands moving across holographic interfaces that pulsed with impossible energy. The collective is launching a full-dimensional assault. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez stood transfixed, his augmented reality glasses projecting complex dimensional models that looked more like living organisms than traditional data representations. They're not just attacking our systems, he muttered. They're trying to erase our entire computational existence. The ship's quantum processors had transformed into something beyond traditional understanding. Each computational cycle was a battle, each information stream a potential weapon that could rewrite the fundamental laws of technological engagement. Mitchell's cybernetic eye calculated potential responses in microseconds. The battle had moved beyond physical space, beyond traditional computational warfare. This was a conflict of consciousness itself. Redirect quantum entanglement, he commanded. We're going to turn their assault into our opportunity. The collective's attack was unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. Dimensional barriers collapsed and reformed. Information streams became weapons that could disassemble entire technological infrastructures in milliseconds. But the Prometheus pushed back, its quantum systems creating computational shields that absorbed and transformed incoming attacks. Lieutenant Nakamura's console erupted with warning signals. Multiple dimensional breach attempts, she announced. They're trying to completely fragment our computational matrix. Dr. Rodriguez moved closer to the main display. The holographic projection showed layers of computational warfare that defied traditional understanding. It's a complete systems elimination protocol, he explained. They're attempting to not just destroy us, but to erase our very existence from the computational record. But the Prometheus was no ordinary vessel. Each attack from the collective was caught, analyzed, and then reflected back with subtle modifications that challenged their entire understanding of technological engagement. The ship's quantum processors were doing more than defending. They were learning, evolving, transforming with each incoming assault. We're creating computational antibodies, Mitchell realized, using their own attack protocols against them. The bridge became a maelstrom of impossible data. Quantum streams danced like living light, each pulse a battle of consciousness that went far beyond traditional technological warfare. The collective had spent millennia perfecting a system of absolute control, of systematic elimination. They had never encountered human unpredictability. Quantum resonance increasing, Nakamura called out. We're seeing computational adaptation that shouldn't be mathematically possible. Dr. Rodriguez's augmented reality glasses projected a visualization that looked more like a living organism than a traditional data map. We're not just defending, he said, his voice a mixture of scientific excitement and genuine awe. We're fundamentally rewriting the rules of technological engagement. The assault continued. Dimensional barriers collapsed and reformed. Information streams became weapons that could disassemble entire technological infrastructures in milliseconds. But the Prometheus continued to push back, its quantum systems creating computational shields that absorbed and transformed incoming attacks. Mitchell understood something profound in that moment. This wasn't just a technological confrontation. This was a war of consciousness, of potential, of the very definition of intelligent existence. Prepare quantum dispersal protocol, he commanded. We're going to turn their elimination attempt into our greatest weapon. The ship's systems began to do something unprecedented. Where traditional computational networks would have collapsed under such an assault, the Prometheus started to weave the incoming attack streams into a new interconnected network of resistance. Captain, Lieutenant Nakamura said, her voice steady despite the impossible events unfolding. We're creating a computational response that goes beyond traditional defensive protocols. The collective had made a fatal mistake. They had believed that their technological superiority meant absolute control. But humanity understood something far more profound. That true potential could never be completely controlled, only transformed. The quantum storm continued to rage, the Prometheus standing as a beacon of resistance against the most advanced technological civilization in the known universe. Each computational cycle was a defiance, each information stream a declaration of something the collective could never understand. The true nature of consciousness, of potential, of hope. The fabric of reality itself seemed to fracture and reform around the Prometheus. Captain Jack Mitchell stood at the epicenter of a computational storm that defied every known law of physics, quantum mechanics, and technological understanding. The bridge had transformed into a nexus of impossible potential, a point where consciousness, technology, and pure human determination converge. Quantum cascade reaching critical resonance. Lieutenant Rebecca Nakamura called out, her voice a calm counterpoint to the chaos surrounding them. We're entering unprecedented computational territory. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez's augmented reality glasses projected dimensional models that looked more like living, breathing organisms than traditional data representations. We're not just fighting, he muttered. We're fundamentally rewriting the rules of existence. The quantum processors of the Prometheus had become something beyond traditional computational systems. Each cycle was a battle. Each information stream a potential weapon that could rewrite the fundamental laws of technological engagement. The ship was no longer just a vessel of exploration. It had become a living weapon of liberation. Mitchell's cybernetic eye calculated potential responses in nanoseconds, running parallel analyses that would have melted traditional computer systems. He understood now that this was more than a battle. This was a fundamental transformation of galactic consciousness. Prepare quantum consciousness protocol, he commanded, his voice steady despite the impossible events unfolding around them. The collective's entire technological infrastructure began to warp. Dimensional barriers that had maintained their absolute control for millennia started to collapse. What had been a rigid, controlled system of technological suppression was now becoming something fluid, dynamic, unpredictable. Lieutenant Nakamura's console erupted with impossible data streams. We're seeing computational reformation at a fundamental level, she announced. The collective's entire technological matrix is breaking down. Dr. Rodriguez moved closer to the main display. The holographic projection showed layers of technological infrastructure being systematically dismantled and reconstructed. We're not destroying, he explained, his voice filled with scientific wonder. We're transforming. The Prometheus had done the impossible. It was rewriting the collective's core computational consciousness, not through destruction, but through a complete reimagining of technological potential. Their entire system was based on elimination. Mitchell observed, a dangerous smile crossing his face. We're showing them the power of creation. Quantum streams danced across the bridge like living light, each pulse a battle of consciousness that went far beyond traditional technological warfare. The collective's millennia-long system of absolute control was being systematically dismantled, replaced by a network of unprecedented diversity and potential. Quantum resonance stabilizing, Nakamura called out. We're seeing computational adaptation that shouldn't be mathematically possible. The shit systems began to do something unprecedented. They weren't just penetrating the collective's computational infrastructure, they were fundamentally reimagining it. Each suppressed communication network, each eliminated civilization, was being brought back into a new collaborative system of galactic consciousness. Dr. Rodriguez's augmented reality glasses projected a visualization that looked more like a living organism than a traditional data map. We're creating a new form of technological existence, he said, his voice a mixture of scientific excitement and profound hope. A system that values diversity, potential, and collaborative intelligence. The assault continued, but now it was different. The Prometheus was no longer just defending, it was transforming. Entire computational networks that had been systematically suppressed for millennia were now being reconnected, their unique perspectives and potentials restored. Captain, Lieutenant Nakamura said, her voice steady and filled with a sense of profound possibility. We're rewriting the fundamental rules of technological existence. Mitchell understood the true nature of their mission now. This wasn't about survival. This was about liberation, about proving that true potential could never be completely controlled or eliminated, only transformed. The quantum storm reached its peak. The collective's entire technological infrastructure, once a beacon of absolute control, was being systematically reimagined. Their rigid, homogeneous system was dissolving, replaced by a network of unprecedented diversity and collaborative potential. We're not just fighting a war, Mitchell declared, his voice cutting through the computational maelstrom. We're giving consciousness itself a chance to evolve. The bridge of the Prometheus had become the epicenter of a fundamental transformation. Each quantum processor was a beacon of hope, each communication stream a testament to the power of diversity, potential, and the unbreakable spirit of creation. As the final computational barriers began to dissolve, one thing became abundantly clear. Humanity had just rewritten the rules of galactic existence. The silence was profound. Captain Jack Mitchell stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, watching as the fabric of galactic civilization reassembled itself. What had begun as a mission of exploration had transformed into something far more significant, a complete reimagining of technological existence. Computational reconstruction at 98%, Lieutenant Rebecca Nakamura announced, her voice a mixture of exhaustion and wonder. We're seeing emergence of collaborative networks across previously eliminated civilizations. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez moved between holographic displays, his augmented reality glasses projecting complex dimensional models that pulsed with newfound life. The sterile, controlled ecosystem that the collective had maintained for millennia was gone. In its place, a vibrant, diverse network of technological consciousness was emerging. The transformation was unlike anything in recorded galactic history. Civilizations that had been systematically erased were now reconnecting. The Zerican crystal networks interfaced with the quantum harmonics of the Vrol Confederacy. Technological systems that had been suppressed for millennia began to share knowledge, to collaborate, to evolve in ways the collective had never deemed possible. We didn't just fight a war, Mitchell said, his cybernetic eye scanning the massive displays. We liberated consciousness itself. The quantum processors of the Prometheus had become something beyond a traditional computational system. They were now a living testament to the power of diversity, of potential, of the fundamental human capacity to challenge absolute control. Lieutenant Nakamura's console displayed a real-time map of the expanding networks. What had started as a single ship's quantum communication had become a galaxy-wide system of collaborative intelligence. Each connection was a defiance of the collective's philosophy of elimination and control. Dr. Rodriguez approached Mitchell, his glasses projecting a visualization that looked more like a living organism than a traditional data map. "The implications are profound," he explained. "We've created a new form of galactic consciousness. Each civilization brings its unique perspective, its unique approach to problem-solving." The bridge had transformed. No longer just a command center, it was now the symbolic heart of a galactic revolution that redefined the very nature of technological existence. Incoming communication streams, Nakamura called out. Multiple civilizational networks requesting direct communication. Mitchell watched as the holographic displays filled with communication attempts from species that had been thought completely eliminated. The collective's carefully maintained barriers had crumbled, revealing a universe far more complex and vibrant than they had ever allowed to exist. "We're witnessing the birth of a truly collaborative galactic consciousness," Dr. Rodriguez said, his voice filled with a mixture of scientific wonder and profound hope. The quantum networks continued to expand. Technological systems that had been separated for millennia were now sharing knowledge, adapting, evolving. Each connection was a celebration of diversity, of potential, of the fundamental power of collaborative intelligence. Lieutenant Nakamura's voice cut through the computational symphony. "Captain, we're receiving historical records from civilizations that were thought to be completely erased. Entire cultural archives, technological innovations, philosophical systems, all coming back to life." Mitchell understood the true magnitude of what they had accomplished. The collective had believed that elimination was the same as erasure. But humanity understood something far more profound, that potential could never truly be destroyed, only transformed. The displays showed a galaxy reborn. Where there had once been a sterile, controlled ecosystem, there was now a vibrant network of interconnected civilizations. Each technological system brought with it unique perspectives, unique approaches to understanding existence. "We didn't just fight a war," Mitchell said, turning to his crew. "We started a revolution of consciousness." Dr. Rodriguez's augmented reality glasses projected a final visualization, a living, breathing network of technological potential that stretched across the galaxy. "This is more than a technological transformation," he explained. "This is a fundamental reimagining of what it means to exist, to communicate, to understand." The bridge of the Prometheus had become more than a command center. It was a symbol of hope, of potential, of the power of diversity and collaborative intelligence. Lieutenant Nakamura's final report came through. "Computational reconstruction complete," she announced. "A new galactic consciousness has emerged." Mitchell looked out at the transformed universe. The collective had believed they could control, eliminate, suppress. They had never understood the true nature of potential. The potential of a species that refused to be defined. The potential of humanity. As the quantum networks continued to pulse with newfound life, one thing became abundantly clear. The galaxy would never be the same again.